what you want me to say?
I was going to ask you a question.
You should ask the question from the time you asked me about, like when you realize that these costs are so little. So then you can go from there.
So when you were just explaining to me about how much it would cost per month per patient, I was surprised at how low that cost was. It's almost the cost of a gym membership.
Right, exactly. So it's very comparable. It's like a gym membership. It's probably cheaper than a cell phone subscription or cable subscription. And most of the time, if chronic disease management is done efficiently, the cost is very minimal and the outcomes are significantly better. So good care actually costs less. It's really the bad care that costs more, because you keep doing the same thing over and over again, and there's no coordination and there's no outcomes driven actions, which means we don't do in our model, we don't do anything without a purpose. That means if we suggest something to a patient, there's a meaning to it, and then we need an end goal. So everything is goal directed activities. So when you have goal directed activities, you automatically bring together all the pieces, and eventually the outcome is good for the patient. And what it does is it shrinks the time, reduces the time required to get people into control, and then allows the patient to be smart enough and educated to manage that long term. So we not only we shrink the time to control, but we also improve the durability of that control. So you're not only saving time and money by shrinking the original time of control, but long term you're providing a lot of savings in terms of durability. So you don't have to repeat the same things over and over again. You just go back and you touch base. You do a little reminding, little minor modifications, and they're good to go for long durations. That basically saves money. It's just like going to the gym and learning the routine, right? So once you have a trainer go through the routine and say, okay, what are your objectives? You need to lose weight, you need to improve your muscle strength, you need to, whatever your targets are, and you set those targets and you do that, you got your formula. And then you just keep repeating the formula, you maintain yourself at the target. And then if you have a new problem, you pick up on that and you modify the problem, modify the solution. So it's really goal-directed activity that we follow, and we all are the whole team has the same goals, because we set them up right from the beginning and say, okay, right now your 30-day goal is to just get your sugar under control. In 90 days we'll see if your A1C improves. Then we watch your blood pressure, or we watch your weight, or your cholesterol, or your triglycerides. Once all these things are taken care of, then we'll say, okay, what are the other goals? Once we got all your goals in order metabolically, and you lost weight, and then the next goal is to say, okay, how can we reduce your pill burden or your insulin doses or whatever else, because those are the next expense items is drug. So if we can reduce drug utilization, maintain the same level of control, so you get both disease control as well as cost control in the long run. And we don't have to actually be bean counters to do that. We can just do it automatically. Right? So that's the nice part, because everything else that's happening around is like, oh, you gotta monitor the number of minutes you spend with the patient, or you're gonna watch for whether you're prescribing brand drugs or generic drugs. These are all very superficial actions. They don't lead to good results. What really leads to good results is goal-directed activity, and you need to set those goals individually. A 28-year-old person with diabetes has a different goal than a 78-year-old person with diabetes. So you can't have the same objectives for everybody. So, and the same thing with, men may have different objectives than women. People who let's say a mail carrier has a different objective than an office person. So you can't have a standard set of objectives. Everybody wants to be healthy, but in their own way, right? So depending on what their occupation is, what their level of activity is, how old they are, whether they're male or female, whether they're, because men don't get pregnant, women do, and so pregnancy is a different category, different objectives, right? So individualization is actually key to chronic disease management. contrary to what everybody else will tell you in the media, where standardization is the name of the game. Everybody wants to have standard. In fact, there are organizations that train you how to what do they call it? Minimize variations in care. Okay, and that's like the exact opposite of what should be done. Variations are integral to managing diabetes because everybody's diabetes is different, and so individualization leads to better outcomes than standardization. Yes, standardization will give you good graphs and good charts because you can show that you got 90% of people on the same regimen and they're doing great, but it's not the 90% that's going to cost you money. It's the 10% that's going to cost you money because in these standardization regimes, most people don't care about the 10%. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense.
Right. And that's what we pick up on. We want to get those 10% also or the level of care, the type of care that they need. I'm not saying more care, I'm just saying more appropriate. Good.